The meeting's now on Facebook, so we're live on Facebook. Yay, it's working.
Yay.
And we're going to record it as well. So I'm Brendan Evans. I'm the Executive Director of Leadership Lincoln, and this is our second Lincoln Leaders program in which we're interviewing remarkable leaders in Lincoln and hearing about their leadership journey, their thoughts on leadership, and maybe asking them a couple of challenging questions too about leadership challenges that they have and how they overcame them and what they learned from them, because that's how we learn and grow. Some just leadership Lincoln stuff. This is our week for our adult cohort retreats. We had our executive cohort orientation last night, which is kind of a mini retreat where people get to know each other so that they can really make the most of the year ahead. On Friday, for our community conversation, we're going to be talking with Spencer Munson about Lincoln Calling and some of the things that they're going to be doing to mitigate risk from COVID this year, and hear about the artists that they have and what's going on there. At the end of the month, we've got State of the City coming up, which we're going to be doing virtually again this year, as we did last year, which will be on, I believe it's Tuesday, the 28th of September in the morning. And that'll be a great kind of update on where the city's at after a challenging year in which we saw a lot of awesome things move forward and continue to happen too. It's really amazing to see that $1 billion worth of building permits is out there in Lincoln, and to see the cranes that are up there. I think Lincoln just does such a great job of pushing forward and really engaging through challenging times. When I think about like 2008, 2009, we're passing the rail yard bond. There's buildings, there's student housing and apartment buildings going up downtown. You know, there were like 4 or 5 cranes in the midst of the Great Recession in Lincoln. And so that's something that I think we owe to all the leaders across Lincoln, kind of providing that, like, okay, like now is the time to work hard, and we're going to work our way through this, and we do. So one of those awesome people is Maggie Stuckey. Now Maggie Stuckey-Ross. It's hyphenated?
Yeah, it's hyphenated. Right? Okay. Yeah, good. Working through that.
That's awesome. Hyphenated names are the best. You can use both parts of them legally, so it makes it easier to assume different identities. You know, that's maybe right. You get a blonde wig, your Maggie Ross wig.
Yes, that's a great idea.
But in all seriousness, Maggie is an alumni of Leadership Lincoln twice, as my sister was, but Maggie was in Youth Leadership Lincoln 3, and she was in Fellows 27, and we're on 37. So you went through Fellows like 10 years ago. This is 27 year anniversary.
Yes, it is. Wow.
And Maggie is the executive director of the Lincoln Parks Foundation, and a great Leadership Lincoln volunteer. She's a fantastic MC. I was just bragging about your skits today that you did for one of our events, our celebration of community leadership a couple of years ago. And she just is engaging. She's bright. She's positive. She's one of those leaders that I look to and think, gosh, I can learn so much from the way that she just conducts herself and is enthusiastic and helps to amplify other people's voices. So, Maggie, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, geez, what an introduction. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I am coming at you live from Park Central here at Woods Park Place, 31st and O Street. Lincoln Parks Foundation is the nonprofit in this town that is dedicated to sustaining and enhancing our parks and trails. Parks Foundation is set up exclusively to support the Lincoln Parks and Recreation Department. So there are 3 nonprofits that sort of fit the bill here in Lincoln that we fit. One is the Foundation for Lincoln City Libraries. One is the Aging Foundation, obviously, that supports aging partners. And then the Parks Foundation that supports Parks and Rec. So all of the projects we do are on public land. We get calls all the time from PTOs or churches that are working on a playground project or something like that. And unfortunately, we can't support projects that aren't on city-owned land, but it also is a really unique opportunity to have projects that can impact everyone, that are accessible to everyone, that we can look at the city as a whole and see where there are opportunities for us to enhance our programming or enhance our facilities. And it's a really cool place to be. So I'm coming on, I believe, 4 years here in this role, which is hard to believe, very cliche to say that it's flown by, but it really has. We are a growing organization. When I started in this job, I was the first full-time employee that the Parks Foundation had. The organization started in 1992, so do the quick math there, and that's 25 years of some incredibly dedicated volunteers. We had part-time assistants and contracted directors who did yeoman's work throughout that time as well. But my role was the first wake up every day full-time thinking about what can Parks Foundation do here in Lincoln to improve our quality of life and help everyone. So since I've been here, we've hired a second full-time employee, and then now we have a third employee that's part-time. And I really see our staff continuing to grow over the next several years. There is a lot to be done in Lincoln, and Lincoln loves their parks and trails. So we are in a really good position, and I'm just thrilled to be here to hopefully share a little bit about my journey and give you some lessons of maybe what not to do at times. But yeah, Leadership Lincoln has certainly been a huge part of my journey to this position. And I'm thrilled that one of my staff members is going through the fellows program this year, which I was really advocating for. I just think there's so much we can learn from each other. And I am so appreciative of the platform that Leadership Lincoln gives both program participants during their program year, but now as an alum, from hot topics to gatherings, fundraisers, state of the city, which you already mentioned. There's just, we can do more together. So that's a rambling intro, Brendan, but that's what I got.
That's good. That's good. So let's start off, like, were you always a leader? Like, did you grow up? Were you bossy? Did you like to be in charge of stuff?
This was not on the preparation sheet for this event. And if my brother and my sister are listening.
Were you assertive?
I am a middle child. I am a peacemaker. I am a helper. I would say I probably was a leader from a young age, but that didn't always look like a productive leader. I don't know, like a social leader. I have a lot of energy and I like to organize things. Now that I'm thinking about it, my friend Lisa, my neighbor friend Lisa, and I organized several neighborhood events when we were young. I believe we started the Woodsdale Island Players, where we put on plays in the summer, the kids in the neighborhood. We started an annual kite flying contest. So maybe there were some leadery moments there at a young age. But as with everyone, I think it's been cycles of confidence and opportunities and just people who helped me get here and believe that I deserve to be here. So
yeah. So do you do did you do student council, like that kind of thing? What was the first kind of leadership position where it's like, oh yeah, I'm on student council, or I'm a class officer, or I'm team captain, or whatever it was?
Yeah, student council for sure was a big part of my growth, and that led into some pretty intense engagement with NASC, the predecessor of Launch Leadership, or Launch now. And so, I was a staff member on the volunteer staff for several years with Launch as well. I think student council probably was the first organized opportunity I had. I think I would also throw church in there as well. I was pretty active in our church youth group and led several components of that as well, and eventually became a youth group leader, kind of the director for a bit at my church, and really enjoyed that too.
So Randy and Natalie say you've always been a fantastic leader.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Randy and Natalie. This is funny. Hi, everybody.
So you did Leadership Lincoln. You're in the third class. That was your sophomore year?
That was, yeah.
And what was your experience from as a youth Leadership Lincoln? Like, how was that for you? What did you think about the experience?
I loved Youth Leadership Lincoln. I will say many of my friendships that I still have, I can trace back to those days at YLL. At the time, Dean was running the show, Dean Finnegan, and she just had a way to bring us all together and see value in one another. She taught us the importance of listening before speaking. I can say the formative years of high school and the opportunities that I have, Leadership Lincoln was totally at the top of that list. I can't say enough about it, and I have encouraged many to consider applying for that program. I think it's such a great opportunity at that time in your life.
And then you did Fellows 27, which was a different experience. My sister said, she was in, I think, YLL 5, and then she was maybe in 34, I think, maybe 35, a couple of years ago. I guess it was 35 because we're in 37, and she finished up online with some of their stuff at the beginning of COVID. And she said, I really appreciated it because since I was a kid or in high school doing that, as I grew up into being an adult, I realized that I could take greater risks maybe in learning about some things. Like, what was the difference for you?
Oh my gosh, this is exciting. Everyone gets to see me wave my arms because I apparently haven't moved enough, so the lights in my office turned off. So this is a regular occurrence for me on Zoom. Yes, I completely agree with Gwen. I think, when you're going through Youth Leadership Lincoln, I would say the lessons felt maybe a little more siloed. We learned about these topics, and this day it's this topic, and this day it's this topic. And with the Fellows program, it was more, everything was woven together. And that could just be with the, growth that you experience between youth and adult, but to understand maybe the interconnectedness of all of the programs and opportunities and services within the city and how everybody relies on everybody. It was a much more, it felt so much more connected as an adult. And I also think, just with the context of knowing more about how you fit into this community and what you want to give to this community, I was more targeted, I guess, and where I wanted to go with my career and how I wanted to be spending my time. And so I think that just gave me maybe a stronger need or a stronger desire to be really internalizing learning from the program days.
Awesome. So, it kind of leads us up to an interesting thing. I was kind of thinking about that, like how we participate in the program and how we start to build these connections. What does leadership mean to you? I mean, what does it mean to be a good leader?
It's such a great question. And I love that everyone's answer can look a little different. I have been surrounded by leaders my whole life who I would say I've taken bits and pieces of how they led or how I was led by them to kind of create, I guess, the leader that I am today. I think one of the first things that I learned, and I'm not sure if he's on today, but Dan Lamb with the Arbor Day Foundation was my boss at Arbor Day for almost 8 years, and Dan's emphasis on collaboration. We can't do it alone. We shouldn't do it alone. There are people around us, some that we know, some that we don't know, but we need to know, that are able to help us elevate what we do and elevate our work. Arbor Day can't do what they do without tens and dozens of partners all around the globe who help them with tree planting projects. And while Lincoln Parks Foundation has a much different geography than Arbor Day, I will say we can't do it alone either. There are so many allied organizations that we work with, people who care about specific recreation opportunities, specific sports, specific facilities and parks. We are able to work best when we are collaborating with others. So I think one of the biggest characteristics of a good leader is collaboration. I also think there should be a real emphasis on trust, and that's trusting the people that you're working with, surrounding yourself with people that you trust. Earning the trust for me, it's of my board of directors, it's of my city counterparts, and you earn trust by doing what you said you would do when you said you would do it. And if something comes up, if there's a hiccup or a roadblock, you're communicating. So I would say the third characteristic is a communicator, a proactive communicator. I think Lynn Johnson, who's the director of Parks and Recreation, would say, when I have any inkling that there might be something that passes his desk or passes his email, we're communicating it. He's sharing it with me, I'm sharing it with him, so that we're on the same page. So those are kind of the three that first came to mind: collaboration, trust, and communication. I think I would say a strong fourth place would be fun. I think it's really important for a leader to have a positive attitude, to keep things fun, and maybe lead less with the stick and more with the carrot. I try to keep things fun here at the Parks Foundation. Sometimes there are days when we just need to take a field trip, and rather than going on Google Maps to look at this park from above and how would this fit, how would that fit, let's jump in the car and head over there and check it out. I think keeping things fun and engaging is a real valuable tool that I use as well.
So you mentioned Dan Lamb as a mentor, and as well as Glenn Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you take the theory of collaboration and how do you put that into practice? Like, what are things that you do with intentionality as a leader to, build collaboration between your organization and folks in Lincoln?
Yeah, it is one of the best parts of my job. And I will say one of the most important parts of my job too. We work with allied organizations all the time on programming and on fundraising capital campaigns to improve facilities. And part of my role at the Parks Foundation is really to be the convener of people who care about certain things, to bring them together, make sure we're all at the same table, we're all working towards the same goals. I think it's really important to stay ahead of things and be proactive with those meetings. So meeting with folks maybe when there's not a campaign going on, but you've heard that they have an idea. There's so many cool ideas circulating in the community right now about new facilities, new parks, new courts, new ball fields. I mean, there's so much opportunity ahead for us. And what the Parks Foundation can do is really bring those people together and kind of get a united front moving forward. And again, we're better together. So I'm really happy and proud to be in that role.
Well, that brings up a really important part. Like, an important part of being a leader, right, is having vision or facilitating vision. When you have so many competing great ideas, like how do you facilitate vision? Is it just like, this is Maggie's way and this is stuff we're going to do? This is what we're doing.
Yes, there is a Maggie's vision document. Mm-hmm.
Or how do you juggle all those competing interests of great ideas with really passionate people?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I will say there are several ideas out there that, man, if all things were equal and I had a checkbook where I could write all the checks and give people all the money to build things, I would. Again, we are uniquely positioned as a nonprofit that's supportive of the Parks and Recreation Department. And so really a lot, if not all of our work is guided by the priorities of the community. Those priorities change between administrations, but generally they stay pretty consistent. So the work that we do really helps fulfill the mission and the vision of the department, which is that Parks and Recreation are fundamental, and we always capitalize fun because that's super cool, fundamental to the Lincoln community. So I would say I look to our partners at the city, and we have a really strong working relationship. So as things come up that maybe are a little different than maybe what the city is thinking or wanting to do, we have the kind of relationship where we can have that conversation. And if my board is confident about it or wanting to move forward with something, we're able to have that dialogue and yeah, work together to find a common solution.
That's awesome. So, which kind of leads to the next thing, you know, in your current position or just in your life, you know, could you talk about a time when you really had a big leadership challenge? You know, was there some way in which you failed, and then how you navigated that challenge or misstep, and how you grew from it?
I can say my path is littered with failure, and I think that's part of how I've been able to get here today. Is instead of the failure putting you in the ground or in the closet and being a reason to hide or not stretch, I have been challenged by the mentors and the role models in my life to use it as a stepping stone to move forward. So I think stepping into this role here at the Parks Foundation has been a real period of growth for me. Again, I was the first full-time employee, and so there was a lot to set up, coming from the nonprofits that I had worked at before, the University of Nebraska Foundation and Arbor Day, both established organizations with systems and processes, and first we do this and then we do this and you got to check all these boxes. Stepping into this organization was kind of a blank slate. I mean, truly, on the first day I walked in here, and the assistant who had been in the role just for a couple of months handed me a set of keys, which are somewhere around here. And she said, well, here are the keys to the file cabinet. So that might be a place to start. And I was like, oh my gosh, the records of this role or the records of this organization are in a file cabinet. This is wild. So, you know, we've tried lots of things since I've been here. Some of them have worked. My first year, we threw a concert series, and there was a day when the band was set up and I was there ready to greet people, and 0 people showed up. 0 people. I had sponsors on. I had applied for several grants for this, and we did it wrong. We didn't advertise in the right way. We just didn't do the right way to make this happen. Fast forward 2 years later, we are in the middle of our Hub and Soul concert series, the largest concert to date. We had over 650 people show up for a concert. So it was a little shameful to go back to the board and say, yeah, that concert series, so no one showed up. But yeah, it was a great investment of my time and the sponsors' dollars and all those things. Looking back, I think I had the new kid on the block syndrome, where I could do everything. I don't need help advertising. I don't need help with a logo. I don't need help reaching out to radio stations and TV stations and getting the word out. And at the end of the day, absolutely, I should not have done that alone. I should have not had the pride that I think I had when I was early in this seat. And now I surround myself with great people like Spencer Munson, who it sounds like you'll be talking to later this week. People who know what they're doing. And again, collaboration, trust. There's been all sorts of lessons since I've been here.
Awesome. So the Hub and Soul music series, when does that go through?
Well, thanks to Mother Nature, we have extended it because we had to cancel our first 2 nights for crummy weather. So Thursday nights at Union Plaza, now through October 7th. We start at 5:30. Hub Cafe serving up great food and have drinks available for purchase. This year, we've also added food trucks to the mix, so lots of opportunities to get good food. Pretty sure this week the dairy store is going to be on site, so that's where I will be, just hanging out at the dairy store vendor and eating all the ice cream. But it's a great series. It's great music, 2 shows every night. We wrap up around 8:30. It's a great opportunity to hop on the trail and bike down there. It's a little dark when we're done, so make sure you have a headlight. But yeah, we'd love to see everyone down at Hub and Soul. Free concerts again at 21st and P, Thursdays at 5:30.
That's awesome. That is, I'm super excited about that. Like, something that I had an opportunity to work on was Party in the Parks, which
Yeah,
was used to kind of ignite that space. And so
absolutely.
we did similar stuff. And so it's fun to see that continue to grow and be used. I go down there on Wednesday nights to pick up my
Of
CSA from my
course.
barracks,
Yes.
and they
Good.
have the hub does a little farmers market
Yep.
there, and I make it down on Thursday nights for some of those as well. It's just
Yeah.
it's such a great community space. So yeah, we've got about 5 minutes left. So like we talked about a challenging thing, 0 people showing up when you've got sponsor dollars, you've got board of directors, you're the new person, and you just totally feel like you dropped the ball. So talk
Yeah.
about like one of yours. I mean, that's clearly become a lot more successful. 650 people in that space is a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
But talk about, one of your successes that you're proud of, whether that's at Lincoln Parks or one of your other positions
Yeah.
of leadership.
Yeah. I think, as it relates to this job, I would just say the whole concept of activation is something that I am really hot on right now. And I know my board is as well. We can raise money and build these beautiful spaces around Lincoln, but until we activate them and get the community out in those spaces, I don't know if we're really fulfilling what the promise is to the donors. And so I am really encouraged to see all of the activity happening at Union Plaza. And I hope as we continue to work on cool spaces, Cascade Fountain is in the middle of the renovation right now. We're going to have some awesome opportunities to activate Cascade. I feel like I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag a little bit, but we're going to have an opportunity to illuminate Cascade for different causes. So if your organization has a cause that you celebrate and a color that represents that cause, we're going to have a program where we will illuminate Cascade for your organization or for your cause for a certain number of days once we turn that fountain on starting next year. So
Cool.
again, activation, I think that's going to bring people down there. It's going to kind of draw attention to that corner. Of course, there's so much happening on that corner: Heyman Rose Garden, the Rotary Strolling Garden, Sunken Garden across the street, and then the trails as well. But I think the more that we can do, not only to build these great spaces, but activate the spaces, just the more we're fulfilling our mission. Wilderness Park is another one in the middle of the campaign to improve the user experience at Wilderness Park, and working with our partners at Friends of Wilderness Park on great ways that people can engage with that space. It's a really unique space in our community. And I think it's important that people see ways that they can experience the space, feel safe in the space, whether that's a guided walk, a nature walk, or maybe a ride through the park. There's still so much that our organization can do to activate. So I think that's probably, if I were to count maybe successes since I've been there or been here, that would be probably at the top of the list.
That's awesome. And then when you talk about the activating and continuing to activate that Union Plaza space, so how did you bring that about to happen? I mean, it sounds like you used some of the things that you told me were those top 3. You collaborated, you invited some more people in to help out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hub and Soul really was the brainchild of Doug Dittman at the Hub Cafe. I mean, he is one of our biggest collaborators, if not our biggest collaborator on that event. And what Doug sees from his cafe is this beautiful space, and he wanted to see it full of people. And so his idea of having this summer concert series got to me, and I was fairly gun shy, as you can imagine, from my previous concert experience. And I was like, I don't know, Doug, I don't think you want me to help with a music series. But again, getting awesome people on board like Susan Larson Rodenberg, Spencer Munson, Christine Weeks, and the team at Eleanor. So many great sponsors: Cornhusker Bank, CycleWorks, Moose's Tooth. There's all these people that have come together, and really with their support, we've been able to pull it off. So activation, we can't do it alone, and we have to rely on others to help us. And we have hit a sweet spot there at Union Plaza, and it's super fun to see.
That's awesome. All right, well, we're kind of at the end of our half hour. So anything you want to hit on that we should be paying attention to? Anything you want to raise awareness about where people can get engaged with the Lincoln Parks Foundation?
Yeah, I think right now, we are really focused on Wilderness Park. So it's a great time of the year to visit Wilderness. The trees, the leaves are starting to change. It's a beautiful place to go and see all sorts of flora and fauna. And I would just encourage you to check out our campaign website, which is itsyourwilderness.com. Learn about what we're doing. We're improving trailheads. We're replacing bridges so you're not afraid when you cross a bridge at Wilderness Park. They're all going to be safe and awesome. And it's a really cool campaign. So yeah, it's yourwilderness.com. Check it out. And if you see ways that you'd like to be involved or want to learn more, you can get in touch with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Maggie, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank
It's
you.
always a pleasure to watch what you're doing. I think you're such a great leader in our community. You bring enthusiasm. You definitely bring the fun. And when Maggie says she's going to get something done, she does it. So it's fun to watch the projects that you touch, grow and change and invite people in and become these successes in our community. And I'm just super thankful for you. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
talking with me today.
Well, thank you. Yes. And thank you for everything you guys do. And just really proud to be an alum of Leadership Lincoln.
Yay. All right. And we